Okay, welcome back. Let's continue with our active directory. So what we did for now is we performed the two tasks of enumerating our active directory and gathering users via Kerberos. This is the interesting information that we found. SVC-admin gave us a hash, and we also noticed an unusual backup account which had a valid username response. Okay, so now, since we answered all of these questions, let's move on to the task number 5, which is exploitation or abusing Kerberos. So here we could read the introduction. So after the enumeration of user accounts is finished, we can attempt to abuse a feature within Kerberos with an attack method called asrep roasting. Asrep roasting occurs when a user has the privilege does not require pre-authentication set. This means that the account does not need to provide valid identification before requesting a Kerberos ticket on the specified user account. Now, if you read about Active Directory in Kerberos, you will know or you will notice the term Kerberos tickets, and in this exploitation part, we are going to need a tool called InPacket that will allow us to generate this attack. So if you click on the InPacket, it will allow you to download the tool. I have already downloaded it, so I have it on my Kali Linux machine, but if you didn't, you need to download it first. The tool that we will need for this lecture is called getnpusers.py, which is a part of the InPacket, and it will be located wherever your InPacket is, /examples, and there you will see the tool. This will allow us to query asrep roastable accounts from the key distribution center. The only thing that's necessary to query accounts is a valid set of usernames, which we enumerated previously via Kerberos. Here it gives us a note that InPacket may also need us to use the Python version that is above 3.7, and since I already have that, that's good for me. We can go and proceed to the questions. So we have two user accounts that we could potentially query a ticket from. Which user account can you query a ticket from with no password? And the answer here is SVC-admin, since we got the hash for it, but let's also get it with a tool provided to us by InPacket. We already got the hash from here, but if I go and change my directory to /opt/InPacket/examples, and I run the Python 3 get np users, it should open the help menu. Here we have the help menu, and here we have a small example of the commands that we can run. So for example, get a TGT for a user, which is useful for us. Here is how we can do that. So get npusers.py, then we provide the domain, the full domain, to the Active Directory, and then the account that we're targeting. So let's try that. We also need to use the -no-pass option, which is described, I think, right here. For this operation, you don't need the account's password. It is, however, important to specify this -no-pass option in the script. Okay, so let's give it a try. Python 3, get npusers, and let me just clear the screen first. So Python 3 get npusers, and here we want to use our domain, which is pookiesec.local. We want to target the account. We can do that by providing the / and the account name after the domain. Then, as we were told, we can use the no-pass option, and I'll use the -dc-ip just to provide the IP address in case it can't find it on the network or over VPN. Okay, awesome. So this command should be complete, and if I run it, here it is. We got the TGT for SVC-admin. The same output that we got once running the Kerberos in the previous lecture. We got the hash value of the password, and now all we need to do to get the password of the SVC-admin account is to crack this hash. Now we do have the password list from the previous lecture that we downloaded, so we're going to use that to crack the password. Now you can already answer some of the questions right here. The SVC admin is answer for the first question. And looking at the hashcat example, now this is not that important, these two are not that important, but if you want to answer, the answer is Kerberos 5 as rep etype 23. And what mode is the hash? I didn't really search this, but you can give it a try to search it and paste it right here. But once again, it's not that important. What is important is for us to crack this hash. So copy the entire hash and let's go to desktop. Let's nano hash.txt and we can save it right here, paste clipboard, and we can just save the hash, right? And now you can use any tool that you want to crack this hash. The easiest one would probably be to use John, since all we need to do is specify John hash.txt -- word list, and here we specify which word list we want to use, and we want to use the one that's provided to us in this specific challenge, which is this password list.txt. And once I press enter, here it is. It managed to crack the password, and the password is management 2005, which is also the answer to the last question right here. Crack the hash with modified password list provided. What is the user account's password? The user account's password is management 2005. Okay, now this can be considered as full exploitation being over since we managed to compromise the account, but let's see what we can do with this password that we cracked. So let's move on to the next part of the enumeration, which is right after the exploitation, and let's see what things we can do right here. So with the user's account credentials, we now have significantly more access within the domain. We can now attempt to enumerate any shares that the domain controller may be giving out. Okay, for this, to enumerate, we can use SMB client. Now, SMB client will most likely need to be used with sudo, so type sudo SMB client. With -u option, we specify the domain with the account that we want to log into. So let's specify spookysec.local. We want to use svc admin, and we want to use -l option, and -l option in the SMB client is used to list all the shares on the domain. All we need to do is specify // and then the IP address of the domain. I think we already have it copied, or no, we do have the hash copied now, so let me just recopy the domain, paste it right here, and the first thing that it will ask is for the sudo password, and then it will ask for the svc admin password. We already cracked it, and we know that the password is management 2000. Okay, so for some reason we get the anti-status login failure, so I might have typed it incorrectly. Let me just... Okay, here it is. Now it worked, and now we can see all the shares that are in this domain. So we can see there is 6 of them. We have admin, we have this backup, which once again is interesting to us. We have CIPC net logon and sysvol. And the reason why backup is interesting to us is because it's not common to be here. Others are common to be here, and backup is something that's sticking out once again. So to answer some of these questions, what utility can we use to map remote SMB shares? We already saw it's SMB client. We can provide it right here as answer. Which option we use to list the shares? So we use the -l option, and that will also be the correct answer. How many remote shares is the server listing? We counted that to be 6 right here, and there is one particular share that we have access to that contains a text file. Now, we didn't really come up to here yet, so let's see whether do we indeed have access to the backup share. Okay, so we can also once again use SMB client to access the share. So sudo SMB client, we provide -u with the domain and the account. So svc -admin. And only thing we need to do, we no longer need to use the -L option. We just need to specify the IP address and also the share that we want to access. So in our case, we want to access the backup share, which we should be able to once entering the SVC admin password. And here, if I type dir, we get one file in the directory, which is the backup credentials. Since, let me see if pwd is working. So pwd is working and the current directory is backup. So we successfully entered the backup share or the backup directory, and we have one file, which is backup credentials.txt, which of course will be interesting to us. So let's use get command to get backup credentials, and we can see it is downloaded right here on the desktop. And the reason it's on the desktop is because my terminal is currently in the desktop directory, so that's where it got downloaded. Now, of course, I did not know this at the start, that we only have access to the backup account, but if you give a try to some other share that we saw, such as for example admin, and you type in the password, we will get access denied error, and the only one that doesn't get access denied error is backup account. So now that we downloaded our backup credentials, we can cat it to see the output, and the output seems weird, right? Well, you will eventually find out that this is base 64 and this can be decoded, but let's first answer the fifth question in this task, which is what is the content of the file. The content of the file is this. We just copy it and paste it right here, and we got the correct answer. Now to decode this, we can use any online decoder, so just type base 64 decode, and we can use any website that pops up. Just make sure that we copy this first, go to this website. Since I already used it before, let's use it again, and let's paste this. Let's just zoom this in so we can see it a little bit better. And if I click on decode, okay, here it is, backup at spookysec.local, and this would be the password. So we successfully got the output or the password for the backup account after we decoded the backup credentials from base 64. Now you can answer this question right here, which is decoding the contents of the file. What is the full content? You just copy the output that we got and you paste it right here. Okay, awesome. So we successfully compromised technically two accounts. We compromised the SVC admin and the backup account, or we got the backup credentials once we logged in as SVC admin, since SVC admin had access to the backup share, but it didn't have access to other shares. So there's a little bit of a vulnerability right there, since we did have access to the backup account, which provides us with backup credentials, but we cannot access any other share, which is quite contradictory, since we can just use the backup account to access other shares, which we will see in the next lecture. So we successfully compromised one account for now, and let's see how we can perform privilege escalation in the next lecture. See you there.